What's the most hurtful thing you've overheard about yourself by accident? At a family reunion, my mother stated she was so happy when I moved out. It was my house and I was letting her live there for free after her divorce. I was 7 and basically poor trailer trash, but I asked my friend if I could stay the night. He called his mom to ask and I overheard her say, "Tell him no, I don't want roaches and lice." Really cut me deep. To this day I have extreme anxiety about keeping my house clean. I couldn't help it, I was poor, and our roaches didn't pay rent to be. Dang, it's crazy how one comment can affect someone so deeply. You were 7 years old. I'm sorry. Overheard one of my aunts telling my mother that my arms and legs looked disgusting because of my body hair and she should do something about it. I was 11 and really self-conscious about being a hairy girl. When I was a preteen, I posted a picture of myself online with a minor celebrity. I later found that it was reposted on a message board, and the majority of the comments talked about how ugly and pale I was. The only person who said anything nice said, "Don't say that. She posts here sometimes and she's really nice." To be fair, if someone on a message board says you're really nice, you've got a lot going for you. My stepmom saying I was useless, heartless, abusive, leeching, etc. when I couldn't get my dad a birthday gift and instead painted something for him. I was like 16 at the time and had no money, couldn't get my mom to buy something for her ex-husband, and stepmom never wanted to get to know me. To my grandma, actually pretty sad as art was still a big deal to me at that age, and has changed how I've seen her as a person. The irony in that is that your stepmom was describing herself. At my first internship, I overheard one of my supervisors ask the others if I was genuinely mentally handicapped. That hurt. Edit. Yes, she 100% meant what she said, but not in a compassionate way. She not only insulted me, but insulted the undergrad program I came from for sending her someone so incompetent. Nothing I did or didn't do justified her behavior. For example, she'd ask my opinion, then laugh in my face when I gave it, or tell me a meeting was in one room when it was in another, and snap at me for not being in the right place. That was 10 years ago. Now I have a few degrees and am happily employed in the same field at a company that values me. When I was kid, I used to do karate with a broomstick on the driveway. My neighbors across the street assumed I was mentally handicapped. I once overheard my friend's mom telling her son, who was my partner in our canoe trip, that the reason I was complaining about leg pain all day was that I was just wimpy and complain a lot. A few weeks later I found out I had a bone tumor on my leg, so I was pretty vilified by that, but then again I did have cancer. All's well now though. I phoned my friend and asked him if he wanted to hang out. I was maybe 10. He said he had to ask his mom. I heard him say, "Lazarus 870 wants to do something, but I don't want to see him." I guess he either thought he muted the phone or did a crappy job at muffling it or something. Then he came back to the phone. "Sorry, my mom said I can't." He was a terrible friend over the years. In 8th grade, I had the highest GPA in my class, so I got to recite the Pledge of Allegiance at graduation. At our rehearsal, as I was walking up to the mic, I overheard a classmate whisper to his friend, out of the whole grade, they had to pick the kid with the most annoying voice. It's a decade later, and I still shrink into insecurity when I remember it. He acts like people actually like him. Someone needs to tell him, we only hang out with him because he will do almost anything you tell him to. He's a sad little puppet. Girl I had a thing for. Granted, anytime someone said something starting with things like "wonder what would happen if," and $20 says you couldn't do, insert stupid idea, I would jump on it and do it, attempt it. It's called making $20 tbh. Just 5 minutes ago, my coworker told me my other coworker told her she'd quit immediately if I got hired onto the position they're currently at. Up until this point, I thought this girl and I were best friends. I even shared my Netflix password with her. That be. Hope you change the password. Overheard my mom telling my aunt that she hated me as a person. I was 13. My mom regularly told me I should kill myself and that I was the reason why things were bad in my family. Gee mom, IDK. I don't think a 12-year-old is really the cause of your problems. She's unapologetic too. Thinks she's the victim in all situations. Complete C. Overheard someone saying they didn't want to work with me. I don't know why, considering I barely knew them. It definitely hurt though. My project lead said to a mutual friend, "I can't frickin' stand that guy, that one hurt emotionally and my career." Dang, a double blow, that's harsh. Everyone I'd invited to my first sleepover laughing while reading my diary entries about how my dad had been abusing me. I'd left the room and one had gone snooping. It was worse when they wouldn't stop or give it back when I burst in and pleaded with them to. Then everyone laughed even harder. That was the first and last time I wrote anything real like that in a diary. Holy crap, that is brutal. I hope they also have that memory and now with the developed worldview of an adult lay awake in bed at night over it. I think this was 9th grade. A girl I had a crush on, but hadn't really talked to at all, was moving away. A few days before she moved I overheard her saying, "Yeah, I'll miss pretty much everyone, but I'll tell you one person I won't miss." Sanskrit, that kinda sucked. If it makes you feel any better, in middle school I asked out a boy I liked on the 1st of April. He said yes. Then I still proceeded to say April Fools. Didn't pan out too well. I don't know what made me think being a jackass would make him fall for me, but Zach, if you're out there, I'm so terribly sorry. Heard my mom complain about the Christmas gift I gave her a few years back. Seemed small but it just hurt. I used to make my mom gifts when I was a kid. One time I made my mom this cup thing in elementary school and gave it to her for her anniversary, and the next day I found it in the trash can. While not a mean comment, this comment killed me. I have epilepsy and I overheard my parents and neurologist talking about some of the effects if my seizures continued, which were basically becoming dependent for everything. Short and long term severe memory loss, and my eye dropping a lot. It really hurt hearing that in a few years I would have gone from honors classes to special ed. Thankfully my seizures have stopped and the only lasting side effect is some memory loss, but man, that sent me spiraling for a long time. Congrats, man. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Crap seems crippling. My dad saying he expected my twin sister to do great things. Not so bad until he followed it up with "I don't know what we'll do about my name, though." He still doesn't know I heard that and I plan to keep it that way. The best revenge is a life well lived. Overheard my dad tell my mom that I am not capable enough to go through with my higher studies. One of the worst feelings when your parents don't have any faith on you. I have now graduated from a prestigious school and have 2 degrees to my name. My mother telling a relative that I was useless, selfish, arrogant, ornery, and stupid for giving up on my education. I was 16. I had just transferred from a private college prep school 7 miles away so I could go to public school 1 mile away. For both I walked and took public buses. I was my mom's caregiver, housekeeper, bill payer, shopper, gardener, handyman, security service and courier service 24/7. I had no social life, and I worked PT. I had been doing this alone for 3 years, though I was the youngest of 7 siblings. I was flawed. I felt like I had been sucker punched. I stood there in my apron and rubber gloves, holding a laundry basket, and bawled my eyes out. It wasn't as much the content, which was bad, but the context. She was lying, and doing it to ensure that I looked bad enough to everyone that if I reached out for help, none would be forthcoming. Learned a hard life lesson that day. I hope you ditched her like yesterday's garbage. I was sick, septic, dying in the ER at the local hospital. I had tubes coming in and out of me. I had IV antibiotics. I didn't know if I was going to make it through the night. My family was at my house and my niece who was with them called the house and put them on speaker. I heard my mother telling them all how she didn't care about me. Never had. She was only there to make sure my nephew was okay. That I got dirty diseases from being gay and sleeping with everyone in town. No, it wasn't an STD. No, I didn't get it from sleeping around. And I haven't bothered with her since. What the frick? Not overheard, but accidentally saw messages popping up on my mother-in-law's iPad as she was texting her friends from another room about how I used to be attractive, that I was now fat, and that her son was basically a son for still being with me. It broke my heart. My father said he was too busy to come see us on Christmas. I told him my 2-year-old had picked presents out for him. I was also going to announce my second pregnancy. I was at my brother's house when my father called to offer my brother a ride to the airport Christmas morning. The airport is less than 5 minutes from our house. This is quite a thread. I've never wanted to punch so many people I don't even know right in the fricking face. My best friend's story, not mine, but figured it's worth sharing. We'll call her Carrie. She was born super premature, but she ended up completely fine. Like you would never know unless you saw the pictures of when she was born. Anyways, when she was around 8, she was at the top of the stairs, head peeking through the banister, secretly listening to her parents argue downstairs about how her dad was too hard on her brother for his grades. Her mom says, well, why aren't you that hard on Carrie? She doesn't get straight A's either, and her dad responds, Carrie was born premature. She's probably retarded. To an outsider that's funny ignoring context, but putting yourself in those shoes at that moment, stab in the heart and gut. Honestly, Dr. Matt 73 is like a 2/10. Oof, thanks. On the upside, you can sleep well knowing they're 10/10C. When I was in middle school art class, something funny happened and I let out a loud laugh. I then overheard one of my childhood best friends whisper to another person, God, I hate Trader 2488's laugh. I immediately looked at him and said, what? And he just looked down at the table like he didn't hear me. This actually made me change my laugh. It's completely different from what it used to be. I didn't know it's possible to change your laugh. In middle school, I overheard some girls say that a person I regarded as a close friend was only talking to me cause she felt bad for me. She then confirmed it. Absolutely nothing, which just makes me more paranoid. When I was 8, I decided to make my mum a paper mache crocodile for her birthday. I spent weeks on it. I'd get back from school and work a bit more on it, all in secret so it'd be a surprise when I gave it to her. One day I came home from school, excited to get to the crocodile as her birthday was coming up fast now, ran to the kitchen and saw my crocodile all screwed up lying in the kitchen bin. She'd found it and thrown it away. I cried so much. My fiancee's mother trying to convince her to break up with me because I was a lazy slob as I was still recovering from injuries I sustained in Afghanistan that limited how active I could be. I was in middle school and I overheard one of the girls doing one of those paper fortune telling games with the boys and predicting who they were going to date. She opened up the paper and said, ugh, you're going to date Fox. And the guy just said gross. Yep, found out that I wasn't really considered a catch. IDK, we did those in middle school and I did the most exaggerated EWW every time it landed on the boy I had a crush on. I couldn't actually let anyone know that I liked him. Took 18 hours to draw painting for one. Gave it and felt happy, but soon I found she dumped it in the garbage. I hope you're still painting, creating art. Whoever you gave it to definitely didn't deserve it considering the time, effort, and appreciation you put into it and the fact they threw it out. When I walked in on my, now ex-boyfriend cracking a joke about my boobs to a group of guys, I very clearly remember it ending with she'd be great if she had any. Walked up on a bunch of people who I thought were my friends talking crap about me, saying I'm a loser and all this other crap. When they saw me they fell silent and I just walked away. That really hurt, but I got over it eventually. Whoa, they suck. You deserve better friends. I overheard my dad telling my mom that he didn't expect my brother and I to get accepted at NDSU. A month ago I flaunted that acceptance packet right in his face, but he's also told me that I probably won't amount to much or be a failure, as well as his plans for me if such thing were to occur to cause him the least amount of embarrassment. Keep on kicking butt. He's just afraid of you being better than his narcissistic butt. It's easier to put others down than actually work towards your own goals. I was going through a pretty rough time and came home from college super depressed, and my brother told my mom I was a basket case. Kinda ironic, coming from him, but it still hurt. You have been visited by the hamster of joy. Comment, I like chicken to live a happy and full of joy like the joy hamster life. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.